There's a couple of historic things within there too. We have the old jail that's in there, and creatively figuring out a good way to manage that would be something that we have to take into account, because that thing is, it's old, and it should be put somewhere that's just not out for, you know, public destruction or whatever, but it needs to be maintained, and Chief said that wherever the police department were to move would be ideal to be able to move that thing to that location, because it's a neat old kind of a relic of the town. So it's been moved a couple times.
Any other questions? All right, anything else that you need to add?
Nope.
All right, we appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Next is a discussion on the City Lake spillway contract. Mr. Miller from Aldermen Rangers.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Here this evening to discuss the contract that the city has for repair of the spillway at the Odessa Lake. A little bit of quick history. I know that even though I was not with Aldermen Rangers, some of this work was done, that the spillway is constructed in the early 1960s. It's had work done on a number of occasions over the years. Most recently, a few years ago, there was a considerable amount of grout injection under the spillway slab due to the voids that have developed. As you all probably know as well as I, it's a pretty steep concrete structure. There is water that's piping underneath that slab constantly, and I think somebody said they pumped as much as 500 yards of grout underneath that thing not too long ago. After some inspection by the Missouri Department of Natural Resources, dam safety folks, and discussion with the city, Larkin recommended a contract to do essentially two things to the slab as additional interim repairs to manage the integrity of it. One was to repair some of the lower slab. If you're looking at the picture on the left side, it's a little hatch mark. That had a big hole in it and was all cracked up down at the bottom and has buckled considerably due to water pressure coming from the backside. Secondly, there's a sill at the upper end by the lake exit where the slab meets a shear wall, and the water, a considerable amount of water is going right through. There's a joint there, and so they're going to grout and inject that joint with a urethane sealer to attempt to minimize the amount of water going underneath the slab. That contract was executed earlier this year. Then, of course, it rained, and it kept raining, and really hasn't stopped raining, but pretty much this summer. The current status is the contractor has been unable to perform those repairs. My understanding, although I was not here, is that the previous repairs were pretty much done in the middle of the summer. The lake, you know, we get a dry year, the lake goes down, dewaters itself effectively, so they can get in there and do those repairs. Obviously, that has not occurred this summer, so they've not been able to get in there and perform the repairs. In addition, I believe that there's the additional damage that is out on the spillway right now is probably caused by the really big rain you all had here early in the summer and maybe additional rains, but there's been pretty massive flows over that spillway since the contract was executed. We met with city staff and again the Missouri Department of Natural Resources to look at it. They agreed with our assessment that there needs to be some additional repair work done, and I've noted those repairs in red. The first thing that's happened is the slab immediately up from the original slab that was proposed to be replaced that I've shown in red has also got holes along the edge of it, and it's buckled pretty badly as well. It needs some additional replacement. The sill of the spillway, which I've noted there in the clouds, particularly on the right side, about 3/4 of the way across, there's one of the old grout line plugs that's come out, and you can see and hear water going through there. There's obviously voids on the top of the sill. If I had my preference, I'd probably try to shoot a bunch of grout in everywhere, but I think we need to at the very least, attempt to grout that sill again and to try to plug up that water from going down underneath the slabs and try to stop it at the source, which is up at the top of the lake at the spillway. That's also the reason that we were originally doing the injection along that crack joint with the urethane injection. We need to inject it. We also need to try to fill up those voids to minimize water piping underneath the spillway. The third thing that we asked the contractor to take a look at was mechanical dewatering. In other words, there's a small pool between a cutoff wall towards the lake and the spillway. We need to basically get in there and pump that pool down while we do the work. Obviously, Mother Nature was not cooperating with us this year, and to get that done this fall, which is a pretty good time to do it in early winter if things don't freeze up and we get some pretty good weather, you're a lot less likely to get a bunch of huge rains, and it'd be a good time to pump it down, but we're gonna have to do that mechanically, pump the lake, that little spillway area down so we can get in there and keep it dewatered to get the grout injection done solidly and get that sill injection done as well. Unfortunately, none of this work comes for free. We have not got a proposal in concrete writing from the contractor at this time. That's why this is an informational item. We will be coming back to the Board of Aldermen for consideration. But it's my opinion that the work really needs to be done to preserve the integrity of the spillway, and I don't think this isn't the last time we'll be working on that spillway. It's if we get years of dry weather, it probably holds up pretty well. Any given year of heavy flows and 6-inch rains, it may cause additional damage. It will probably cause additional damage to a spillway that's 60 years old, essentially. I don't think it's in danger of catastrophic failure. It's pretty much founded on a lot of rock based on the outcropping you see there. So, but if we let it go, then it gets worse and worse, of course, and the repairs keep mounting up. I think that it's going to cost probably to do all this extra work between about another $30,000 to $40,000. I haven't got an estimate from them for sure, but like I said, we'll be back when we've got a change order budget to take it for your consideration. And I recommend that we get that work done now while they're out there. With that, be happy to take any questions you might have and see what we can do to answer. Yes?
Yeah, my own concern is that we did the grout thing at the top of the spillway before, and it hadn't lasted very long at all. What can we do up there to make it last this time?
Right.
I don't think if it gets sealed up, then how much rain you have shouldn't make any difference as to how much water gets underneath it there.
Right. Actually, my understanding is that on that picture you see all the little circles all across there. You grouted the whole face of the spillway, not just the top.
I understand, right. But if we don't keep the water from going underneath of the slab, then keep filling it isn't doing any good. That's why.
Right. And I think if you look at this, the top of the spillway design only has about a 4 or 5 foot cutoff wall right. on it. It's my professional judgment that we'll, at some point we need to drill a couple holes, do some geotech below it at the upper end there, right on the upside of that, and that eventually what you're going to be looking at to stop flow from going under that spillway, water into the spillway, is some kind of a slurry wall or cutoff wall, injection wall in front of the whole spillway to keep it from getting to that little short cutoff wall that's there. I think there's going to have to be a much more significant wall, if you will, water stop developed on the upstream side of that spillway. Now, standing here, I can't tell you what, you can do soil cement slurries. There's a lot of different, you could even dig down and build another big old structure. There may be limestone fissures that you need to grout the fissures full. It depends on the geology, but I think there's going to ultimately have to be something in front of the spillway sill to do exactly what you're talking about. But I don't think it's something that has to happen right now.
Well, I know, but every year or two, we're going up there and spending $20,000 or $30,000. I mean, I'd like to know what that costs.
Right, and I would too. I think we should.
Instead of keep spending a little bit of money at a time.
And I think we should plan to investigate that and come up with a game plan for that. I agree with you.
Any other questions? All right, unless there's anything else.
I just want to add that we did meet with DNR, as Mr. Miller said, and their recommendation is we move on this in this construction season. So as soon as Mr. Miller gets the figures and brings them back to us, and we'll bring the change order. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, next is a motion to authorize the purchase of storm sewer pipe and supplies for repairs in the amount of $17,507.40. Mr. Airy.
Yes, this is, as you see, it's at East Phillips Street in South Connor. This is a pipe that runs diagonally under the property owner's home. It has collapsed, and there's actually a hole in their yard where this pipe is collapsed. The reason the cost is so much for this pipe is it's an odd-shaped pipe. It's oblong, and it's larger than some of the other pipes that we've replaced. But we believe this is part of the damages of the June 3rd flood, and we spoke with FEMA today to try and get this project within their scope as well. But we just need authorization to buy the pipe, the bands, so that the city staff can begin this work.
Have you got a picture of that? Because we don't have it.
I do not.
You referred to a drawing, didn't you?
I didn't, Mr. Lockhart, but I don't know
Pipe
if
going
Mr.
underneath
Conway
the
said
yard.
that to you, or?
No, you did, I thought you just said that you see where the pipe went
You
underneath
can
the
see where
yard.
it's at, yeah. In the yard of the homeowner, there is a hole where the pipe is collapsed by his driveway.
What's that address?
701 South Connor.
Corner South Connor.
Yes, it's right there on the corner. It's a corner lot. And I can certainly answer as much as I can. Mr. Conway obviously isn't here tonight due to illness.
But you said the pipe runs under the house?
It runs not under the house, under the driveway.
It's under the house.
And
You said under the house.
I'm sorry.
I'm a little
I
concerned.
misspoke. Not under the house, under the driveway.
Okay.
That connects to another drain.
Any other questions?
So, the repairs, if we do get this covered under the FEMA, would they reimburse that,
Up to 75%.
of that? So is that what we're waiting on from McDowell Street as well?
Yes. But McDowell Street's more than this project.
Yeah, I understand, but we've made the people on McDowell Street have a road closed since June 3rd. And so, and the whole purpose of that was to wait for SEMA or FEMA or whoever to try to provide us money. And so if we're gonna move on something like this, what makes us wait on McDowell Street? I understand, but if we're gonna get it reimbursed, then, you know, we're causing issues for people that, you know, are dropping kids off at Odessa Upper Elementary, they then go to Macquarie, and I get complaints on that, you know, weekly. When are we gonna open McDowell Street? When's it gonna be open? You know, we've been waiting on whoever to provide this some sort of explanation of whether we're gonna get the money or not get the money since, you know, July or whatever. So we're 3 months into this. And now we're gonna move on this one here,
What makes this one?
more priority over McDowell Street.
And I think it's money. I think it's the cost of,
But they both have to be fixed. So how do you prioritize? I get it, that one's 60,000 versus 17, but how are you gonna go tell those people on McDowell Street that their property is less important to fix than this one? It's less important to fix McDowell Street than this one, because it costs, you know, $40,000 more. We still have to fix it.
Do we know from FEMA or SEMA, so are you saying that you guys met with them today, we know for sure that they will cover the
No.
cost of this repair?
no, we still have to gather information. We have to put all of the data together and submit a report to FEMA.
Okay, so we don't know for sure if they'll cover this one or McDowell Street.
Correct.
And that information's been submitted for McDowell Street already, correct?
Initially, but now, today, there's even more data that needs to be collected. There's an actual program that you need to add more data. That's what Ms. McCoy and Peggy and I met with them today to talk about the data gathering for FEMA.
Where would the funding for this come from?
It's in the road. I I believe commodities. Street department.
And I just, one more clarification. McDowell Street is our property, correct, or the city's property?
Correct.
And this is fixing a citizen's property where there's a hole, correct?
But the pipe that runs under his driveway is our pipe.
Okay, but it's affecting a whole house, I mean, somebody else's property, correct?
Correct.
Is it just affecting that one, or is it affecting multiple? Is this the one that's affecting Russell Street?
No, I believe this is just affecting this homeowner at South Connor.
And this is a collapsed pipe,
Yes, sir.
and we visually have seen that the pipe is collapsed.
Yeah, it's large enough that we've actually had city staff go down into the pipe.
And how big a pipe is it, and how long?
I would be guessing, I just know it's an oversized pipe and it's an odd shaped pipe, but I don't know the dimensions of it.
Would this come out of,
This year's budget.
this year's budget?
That's what we were hoping for.
What's the timeline for the project from beginning to completion?
Once we get the pipe, and I believe it's an 8 to 10 day delivery, I believe that's what Mr. Conway told me, we would start the work immediately.
And we'll be doing it with city employees?
Correct.
And I'm sorry, you said you didn't know how long the pipe was.
I don't know how, I'm sorry, I don't. I should have had that information, but I don't.
I'm assuming it's not too terribly big, city employees or.
And then, to also clarify, we're trying to get this in this year's budget.
Correct.
McDowell, we've already put that in next year's budget as well.
Are we going to be responsible for replacing a driveway?
Part of this project, yes, we'll have to tear out the driveway.
And how big of a driveway that would be going through?
I'm guessing, Mr. Lockhart, I would say it's a 20-foot wide driveway. It's a fairly large driveway.
But that's included in the cost, right?
This is
I
just
mean-
the pipe,
Oh, this is just the pipe, okay,
pipe and the bands.
okay. So for the total project, there will be additional cost to this.
That we'll use city equipment, city staff.
What's,
I'm assuming it's a concrete drive?
Yes, sir.
Blank check.
any other questions? If not, then we will entertain a motion, if you want to discuss it further.
I'd like to go over personally and inspect it myself and see what's going on with it.
I'd certainly be able to do that with any of the aldermen that would want to do that.
So I'll wait for
I just have a problem with spending what, we don't know how much money for what type of project we don't know anything about, except for the cost of a pipe.
We have all those questions written down, so we can get answers to those. Go ahead, Alderman Carney.
What are the circumstances of the homeowner? Who the house service there?
Oh, no, sir. The hole, yeah, the hole is just by the driveway. And again, I misspoke a while ago. The pipe is underneath the driveway. And so the hole is next to the driveway.
Does not matter.
Right now, he's placed a piece of plywood over the hole.
What kind of liability do we have with that hole being there? That's, You know, I mean, if there, it seems like if it's our pipe that caused the hole, we should be the ones covering it up. But we also have a lot of liability, because if it, is it in the backyard, the front yard? I know the property, is it?
It's a side yard, it's a side entrance to the garage.
That's pretty good size lot over there.
You enter off of Phillips Street.
Right. And I'm just curious if, you know, if we wait, I mean, we've already, I don't know how long we've been waiting now, I guess. If we waited this long, but.
Is the driveway usable?
Yes, sir.
They're using the driveway?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I went by there today and there was a vehicle parked on the driveway.
But we've got a hole there that probably should be at least, as you're saying, it's got a piece of plywood over it now.
Correct.
If it is our hole, if it is a hole on our pipe, you know, should it be safety fenced, like you would any other construction hole? Possibly, is that?
I would say so.
Because
I'd rather do, I think that it needs to be, I mean, I don't know what's required, but I think that if anything, it at least needs to be our piece of plywood that's put over it, but I think safety fence and things like that, so. I mean, because where it's at, I mean, they still have use of their backyard there. Are we worried about any other holes forming along this pipe that we know of? I mean, do we need to fence off the entire length of where this pipe is?
There's always that possibility, I mean, and we could do that, we could just fence out a whole thing.
where we know the pipe has collapsed.
Right.
Again, because I don't know, this is a storm sewer, right? When it rains, is it creating any kind of flooding over there?
Hard rains, yes, yeah. June 3rd, and then, the second heavy rain, I can't remember the date.
How long did you say it takes to get the pipe?
8 to 10 days is what I understand.
Well, I think the request is for getting the pipe. So we know we're gonna have to replace the pipe no matter what. So I would move that we approve this, spending the $17,507 to get the pipe.
Okay. I have a motion and a second.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second to approve the expenditure of $17,507.40 to purchase the pipe. Is there any further discussion on that?
I have a question. Do we have the pipe purchased for McDowell Street?
No.
Then why haven't we moved on it? I mean,
We were gonna purchase a pipe, we brought that before, for McDowell Street. We
the
brought
longer
that-
one.
Yeah, we brought
The
this,
state said no, or the federal government said no, like for like.
we brought that before the board. There was a request that we have engineers look at McDowell Street, which we have, and we have a cost estimate now from the engineers, which I can certainly send that information to the board if you'd like to see that cost estimate.
Well, the reason I mean, $17,500 for the pipe we have to buy. We haven't moved on the McDowell pipe. We have to buy it anyway. We haven't got labor, the driveway, or any of that stuff in here. So this project could be close to what McDowell Street is. And we haven't moved on it. I just don't understand how we can keep pushing McDowell Street off, and we're gonna go ahead and move forward on this one and tell them that this one's gonna be better. I understand buying the pipe. Why shouldn't we be buying the pipe from McDowell Street and have it ready, so that when we are gonna do it, we can move forward?
The only thing I'd say to that is that we got a hole in a person's front yard that is a safety hazard that we have to do something with, period. Every time it rains, it's gonna erode more, it's gonna wash more dirt out there, and the hole's gonna get bigger, and we don't need it to get any worse than what it is. That's what I'd say the difference is.
I agree with that, but we also have McDowell Street shut down, and when it rains, it does some stuff, more damage to it as well, right?
It's not a hole in somebody's front yard.
No, but it does have a hole, it does have a hole in the street, and it's a big curve. And if the kids wanna get in there, there's a chance of it
There's a
collapsing.
ditch back there, kids want to get in the ditch too.
I mean, I agree with Mr.
I mean,
Stevens there.
I get the buying the pipe, but I just don't understand why we haven't got the McDowell pipe yet then. or why we're not moving to get it here. So that when we do finally decide to move forward with that project, it's here, we move forward with the project.
When was this, we were made aware of this hole shortly after June 3rd? Is that correct? Am I reading that correct?
Yes.
This hole was brought to our attention.
Yes.
So, and when was McDowell Street brought to our attention?
June 3rd.
Okay, so,
Yes, sir.
so I see what Alderman Stevens is saying. The issues, you know, have been there for the same amount of time. You know, we've known about them the same amount of time, so I also agree with Alderman Wright, though, that, you know, the difference is that this is on someone's personal property, and I just see, I mean, I know liability is there no matter what, but it just seems to me that
I think the answer to that is we have known these, McDowell Street was a priority because of the street closure. We brought that to the board. There are other storm sewers that we've been working to correct, Centennial Hills and some others. And again, with limited staff, we've been trying to do these projects with city staff instead of contracting them out so that we can get them covered.
because you have fixed storm sewers over in
Yes.
Centennial Hills, we call it. So the only reason this came to us is because it's above Mr. Conway's expenditure level, correct?
It's above my expenditure level and
Right.
his, yes.
And then the reason McDowell came to us was because we were looking at multiple issues, not just the initial expense of the pipe, because it started out at one price, and then after we had, because the board wanted an engineer to look at it, that's when the price really inflated on that, correct?
Yeah, we had a pipe selected for McDowell Street from the Special Road District, but it was a larger pipe. There's a 48-inch pipe that's in there now. We were gonna go to a larger pipe, and that's whenever the discussion led to we needed to have an engineer over on McDowell Street.
Because in that discussion with McDowell Street, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but the thing that came before the board was to approve the purchase of that pipe, right? And to basically approve that purchase of the pipe and move the project forward, is that?
It was, in that project, it was approved the pipe, and the Special Road District was gonna help us with the repairing of the road there as well.
And then the board wanted an engineer to look at it.
Correct.
And so that's when that street project compounded. This doesn't need engineering, it just needs the pipe replaced, which we've already started doing in different places in town, because it's on personal property. Most of them have been. Sorry for the history lesson.
No, that's the way I remember it, other than we were gonna go to this bigger pipe, and then we were gonna, you know, throw all this water into a residence, street culvert. And so that's why we made the decision to have some, I mean, we're gonna throw, you know, 5-foot pipe or whatever, well, I can't remember, 6-foot pipe into this 48-inch pipe, I mean, that's.
6 to 4, it's almost double the market.
Okay. I've got a motion and a second on the floor to approve the purchase of this pipe for $17,507.40. Is there any other discussion related to the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-1. Thank you. Next is Resolution 2015-16, a resolution of the City of Odessa, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to execute Kansas City Power and Light Company utility easement for service installation at 7,000 Golden Belt Road.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to let Ms. McCoy address these next few resolutions. She's got the history and the background.
All right.
The West Side project to do the interceptor and pump stations that will take the Southwest Lagoon out of service and feed it into the Northwest wastewater treatment plant requires electrical services. And when we did the review of that, Kansas City Power and Light comes through there, and so they will need to expand their service lines down through the property. That's also personal property, which we already have this utility easement to do that. So this easement is across the city piece where the Southwest Lagoon sits, and where the pump station is scheduled to be located, that will send the wastewater to the Northwest plant. So this is the easement for them to install, and then you've got a later request for the actual contract for Kansas City Firelight to do the installation.